Hey guys, how are you? I am gonna be doing a second video on this channel regarding sim racing. This is gonna be a comparison video between the T-GT2 and the DD Pro Thrustmaster versus Fanatec. I've been looking around and I haven't found any videos comparing these two wheels. It's generally been from G29 to DD Pro, is the upgrade worth it, but I haven't seen anything from, what is currently the flagship wheel for Thrustmaster versus the DD Pro. There is a direct drive coming for Thrustmaster at some point, but Thrustmaster has been extremely slow and kind of annoying releasing information about that. So not going to touch that, and I'm not going to be comparing. I'm not going to be doing a review or an unboxing or anything of that sort, just because there's so many videos out there touching exactly on that subject. So I'm going to be focusing exclusively on the straight comparison between those two wheels. Okay, wheel bases, wheels, and whatnot. All right, so let's get into it. Regarding pedals, the pedals that come with it, I am very pleasantly surprised. It looks extremely sturdy, and the feel of the pedals, I mean, I know it's just, it's just our hands, but they feel, look at that. If I'm not holding it back, it slides back. So it's, for something without a load cell, this feels extremely nice. I'm pleasantly surprised for the price of these things, which is like $80 or whatever. They came with the T-GT, but right now I am using the TLCMs, which have a load cell. Although I did get an upgrade, which is it's gonna be coming in a few days. I think tomorrow actually. So I'm gonna install these pedals just to test them out because I want the full gear, right? The two things meant to be. But tomorrow I'm gonna be switching them out to the V3s. So exciting times ahead. But very pleasantly surprised with the appearance out of the box and with how firm this brake pedal is because of this this little sponge thing, the classic Fanatec sponge. It's definitely not hard, but it's not like a professional thing, but it's definitely much better than I expected from them. So good job on that. So in terms of quality and build, they're both relatively similar in terms of design, I guess, as we can see. They have the bottom of the Fanatec rim is a little bit more trimmed out. See, this guy has a little bit of a thing, and also the material. This is leather, which is why it has this stitching, right? And I mean, it feels nice. Don't get me wrong, but for some reason, like this stitching can be problematic if you don't wear gloves. Over in long sessions, it's not really a problem, but it can annoy the inside of your finger. And as you can see on the Fanatec ones, there isn't this because it's rubber, and the rubber, I mean, yeah, it's rubber, but it feels quite nice. And since I wear gloves, it doesn't really matter anyway for me, but that's something to bear in mind. The other thing that I think I would like to point out is the shifters. So the shifters, I mean, they are a little dirty, but these shifters from Fanatec, you see how from a Thrustmaster, you see how they're quite, so if they're quite like spaced out over here. If we do the same thing here, they have this weird angle and they're much closer. So if I grab my finger, see how it's much closer in. So I end up having to do a tighter circle with my fingers, and it's a little bit more awkward It's not really an issue, but yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to have maybe potentially another another adapter to be able to put magnetic paddle shifters on or whatnot, because that's the one thing that I would. But there's two things. It's that the shifters, because I do feel like these are, while the shifter actual clicking may be better on the Fanatec, the positioning and the look I think are nicer on the T-GT's rim. The other thing that I have a little annoyance about is this guy here. I mean, I guess it's not an issue per se. It's not something that's like a deal breaker. It's more of a nuance, but like this is instead of a D-pad. The D-pad just works. It just comes off your finger and it just works well, right? Now, if we go to this guy just feels a little bit awkward. It comes out, it's not really in the way of, like, you know, it's a little bit strange. Sure, it's not really something that you use while racing because it's like a thing, but I don't know. I'm not a fan of this guy. Really not a fan. Everything else, I think, you know, doesn't warrant the stick it's been getting. I think it's a solid piece of gear, especially compared to the T-GT one. It's great. It's just this thing and the shifters. For me, those are the more annoying parts of this rim. So this is something I would like to point out. Look at the difference of the angle at which the shaft comes out. It's not really an issue, but it's just something to bear in mind comparing the two in terms of rig positions, because maybe your rig doesn't have the adjustability, or you don't, or you prefer one type or another. And this is just something to bear in mind. Also, in terms of space, I mean, it shouldn't be a problem, but yeah, this one is much longer than the Fanatec. So yeah, this is just in terms of setup. It's just something to have in consideration. It's obviously, since this doesn't have any vents and it's passively cooled, it's really quiet. It's super quiet. It makes basically virtually no noise, and the thing in this whole setup that makes the most noise is without a doubt the pedals. So yeah, in that sense, if you live in a house with people that want to sleep and you like to play late, then yeah, this is definitely the way to go. So I wanted to give it a go at Gran Turismo, because this wheel is, you know, it's made for GT7, and out of the box it was, you know, I installed the drivers and I updated everything, all the firmware and stuff on the PC, which you have to do, and then I went straight into GT Sport on the PlayStation, and it was basically plug and play. There's just like no issues there. The smoothness, I know that's what everybody says, you know, how smooth it is, but comparing it to the T-GT, you can definitely tell, that there aren't any gears in there. Now, this is my first direct drive wheel, so I'm just gonna, I think in general, you can't really go wrong with the T-GT2. It's not a bad wheel. However, it does feel a little bit outdated. Not outdated. It feels like it's lagging behind in terms of smoothness, directness, and precision. Honestly, I don't know what it is. I can't. So in terms of driving, it's so much smoother. It gives you all the inputs you need. It gives you all the information really clearly. This is the first direct drive wheel that I've had or even had the pleasure of trying, and I'm extremely pleasantly surprised. It's not something that's gonna make you quicker per se, but it's a definite upgrade. I mean, just the fact that this costs basically the same as the T-GT2 costs 800 euros. That comes with the pedals, and so basically the same setup as the DD Pro. Same setup, and it's gonna cost you more or less the same. And honestly, this just feels more modern. It feels more precise. It feels more future-proof. Let's put it that way. And that's, only for Gran Turismo Sport. I expect Gran Turismo 7 to have similar type of physics, although when it comes out, I will be doing a quick video on that just to let people know how it feels compared to the T-GT2. I'll whack that back on for GT7 just to, give people a better understanding. But as I'm driving horribly, but never mind the actual drive, it feels marvelous. It feels incredible. And honestly, the difference between the two bases are quite staggering. Even, I'll say, the pedals in the Fanatec gear, they're better than the ones in the Thrustmaster gear. That is not even debatable for me. I know that that's like a matter of subjectivity. We're entering the realm of subjectivity, like that one YouTuber says, but it really is like the quality, the feel, the build, how simple they are, but how precise they are. They are so precise. I would even argue that for Gran Turismo, you might not even need a load cell. I mean, if you don't have the rig for it, or maybe you're a little bit strapped for cash at that moment, or you're not going to be losing out all that much. I mean, maybe in terms of immersion, and sure, right, but in terms of actually being quick, this pedal is extremely, it's not very hard at all, but it's extremely precise. Like, I cannot understate that enough. Honestly, I've had 3 Thrustmaster pedal sets in my life, because I had the T-GT1, the T-GT2, and then I got the TLCMs because I wanted the load cell, and because, well, honestly, the Thrustmaster ones lasted me less than 3 months, both of them. They just broke. I don't know if it was just because I was braking too hard, or they just didn't last for me. They were the worst thing that Thrustmaster has done has been the pedals by far. And these things look or seem so much better than the Thrustmaster one. So after a few hours of testing, I've tested this in iRacing and GT Sport. I have to say the T-GT2 is a fantastic wheel, but after the Fanatec came out, the DD Pro, it's a little bit outside of its actual price range, is what it feels like. It feels like the T-GT2 is now a step below this. This feels modern. It feels new. It feels more precise. It really does. I mean, this may be a subjective thing because the low frequency vibrations from the T-GT kind of induced carpal tunnel on me. So after many hours sitting in the same position and being, battering my arm with that frequency, it kind of it did hurt my wrist. That's nothing, I'm not blaming Thrustmaster for that, but this smoothness, it gives the fact that this gives you the same amount of detail or more detail, and with that smoothness, that complete smoothness, it's an undescribable feeling, honestly. Up till now, I've been seeing all these videos and I'm like, why can't nobody really tell you how it feels? And it's that hard to describe. What isn't hard to describe is the fact that the T-GT2 now feels like it's a step below the Fanatec, and I feel like if it was priced differently, it wouldn't be as hurt. But the fact that it costs 800 euros in some places, that's just not okay. It's not okay. It's because if you compare the two wheels, you would think, you know, if they're more or less the same price, you would think that they're kind of similar, and it's just not true. You can tell you're in something that's a lot more future-proof when you step into the Fanatec, into the DD Pro. And this isn't a dig at Thrustmaster. The T-GT2 is a great wheel. It's just not worth the money. I think that's bottom line. It's not worth the money compared to the T-GT to the DD Pro. Before the DD Pro was around, it was, you know, because from that point onwards, you had to go to a DD, you know, and you were going to spend a lot more. So that kind of made sense. But now that Fanatec has introduced this wheel at the same price range, more or less, I'm sorry, but Thrustmaster is going to have to change their pricing, because I can't see the T-GT2 doing well. Even though it is a great wheel, it's just not there. Especially if you look at it as a bundle, with the pedals, the pedal set that they include, they're both kind of cheap pedals. The T3PAs and the you know, the ones that come with the DD Pro. But the pedals in the Fanatec one seem much more precise, and especially the build quality, it's night and day. That's the one place where there's absolutely no comparison. The build quality between the Fanatec and the Thrustmaster and the pedals is another level. The cheaper Fanatec pedals have impressed me a lot for their precision. They're not very hard. They're relatively soft, and they're cheap pedals, but they're really well built, and you can feel that they're precise. And for a game like Gran Turismo, they are perfect. Honestly, they are. I mean, they aren't any load cells or whatever. But if you're strapped for cash, or if you don't have a rig that can't take a load cell or whatnot, then you're not going to be at a disadvantage by having these pedals. That's the impression I get, the initial impression anyway. So, after spending about a day with the DD Pro and having spent like around 8 months with the T-GT2, the initial impressions are very, very strong in favor of the DD Pro. Future-proof, feels super smooth in most, if not in every sim that I tried. It's not that Thrustmaster did anything wrong, except for maybe the pricing and the pedals, but it does feel more modern, the DD Pro. More modern, more elegant, smoother, quieter, better build quality, more precise. I mean, the list goes on. It feels like it really beat it. Like it doesn't. All of these things don't mean that the T-GT2 isn't a good wheel, but at 800 euros, yeah, not worth the money, in my opinion. Not worth the money, and that's only true because this guy came out at more or less the same price range. So if you're in the market and you're looking for a wheel and you have around that amount of cash to spend, I would recommend going with the DD Pro. It just makes more sense to me personally, and it's something that you will not be disappointed. Let's just put it that way. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked it. I hope I've helped you just making a decision, and hope to see you next time. Bye.